Hi, I'm Paige Pearce with Sportsman's Warehouse, and today I want to talk to you about how to properly stabilize your hunting bow. Now, the first and very important thing is that your draw length is set correctly. We do have a separate draw length video, so please watch that to make sure that your draw length is correct, and then come back and watch this video. So, when you talk about stabilization on a hunting bow, you obviously want your bow to aim still, but there's a couple other key things that are very important. The first off being that when you shoot, you want enough weight on the front of your bow that it actually tips forward after the shot. That's going to make it much more easy to have a consistent, solid follow through. So when we talk about hunting stabilizers, an average length is anywhere from 6 to about 12 inches. I personally prefer about a 10-inch stabilizer with a couple inches of weight on the front. And I'm only going to run enough weight on the front to help deaden the bow just a little bit, and again, after the shot, just enough to offset it to where it wants to tip forward. Now with that said, the stabilizer on the front actually does a couple other things for the bow besides stabilize. It makes the bow feel a lot less aggressive after the shot because it absorbs the leftover energy in the bow that didn't transfer to the arrow, and it also makes the bow a lot quieter. So, if you're not concerned that much about stabilization, a front stabilizer is still incredibly important for those other two reasons. Now, one other thing that is often overlooked on a hunting setup is your bubble in your sight as far as canting left and canting right. If you look at this hunting bow, there are a ton of extra accessories attached to the riser on the right side of the bow. We have the sight, the rest, the quiver, and all of the arrows in the quiver, and that's obviously going to make that side of the bow very heavy. Now, if I were to draw back with this bow as is, the bow is naturally going to want to cant to the right because of all of the side weight. So, one thing that you should really consider using if your bow wants to do that at full draw is a back stabilizer. What this is going to do is offset the weight of all of the equipment that's attached to the right side of your riser. Ideally, when you draw back, your bubble should always land perfectly in the center of your sight without you having to force it one way or the other. Now, this is a relatively long back bar. I would say on a typical hunting setup, you could get away with a 6-inch back bar and just a couple ounces. And you can also run the bar farther away from the bow or closer to the bow, depending on what you're going to need to make your bubble center up. But this is going to make you a much more consistent hunter, and it's going to make it much easier to pull up and get through your shots quickly when you don't have to take a second and second guess your bubble if it's not centered. So, just to show you, if I hold this bow up, it doesn't want to tilt to the right or the left. It sits very naturally straight up and down, and that's what you want to see on your hunting setup. I really hope that this gives you guys some extra ideas on how to make your hunting bow perform a little bit better. If you need any of this equipment, head down to your local Sportsman's Warehouse and they will make sure you're properly set up for this next hunting season.